Hello, welcome to the Lovely Spines. I'm Joy, and that's Abby, or what's left of her, and that one's Zelda. And I was going to do my book resolutions or reading resolutions, and I still might, but I don't know. It just seems like such a boring thing to watch. Today, I decided that I wanted to talk about a couple of children's books that are winter themed. Now, there's tons of books, and I could have easily grabbed like 20 of them, but I just wanted to grab a few. So this video, hopefully, if I don't ramble, won't take too long. The first book I grabbed is a book called The Mitten. The Mitten is a Ukrainian story. It was adapted and illustrated by Jan Brett, who is a pretty popular author when it comes to children's stories. And I fell in love with this one last year, mainly because of the illustration. There's a little boy who wants brand new mittens and he wants them to be white. And the grandmother didn't want to make them for him because he's afraid you're going to get him lost because it's snowing outside. And he really wants them, so she makes them for him. And he goes out and ends up losing one of the mittens. And then next thing you know, all these little animals make the mitten their home. What I like about this book is if you see the main action here, but then when you look on the two sides of the mitten, you see what else is going on. So you see this animal, and this is the first animal that climbs into Nikki's love. And meanwhile, you'll see that Nikki's still having his adventure, and you see this next one, you see the next animal that's coming. And as you can see, more and more animals just keep climbing into the mittens while Nikki is running around. It takes him a while to realize that the mitten is missing. And the last animal that goes into the mitten is well, actually the second to last animal is a bear. The bear climbs in. And this is probably one of my favorite pictures out of the entire story, is when all the animals climb in. And then you see little mouse. Then Nikki finds out that the glove is missing. And the mouse sneezes and all the animals come out. The mitten goes flying. He finds the mitten. And of course you see all the animals just completely all over the place. But the cool part at the end is that when Nikki gets home, his grandmother is pleased to find that he didn't lose his mittens because he had them both. But of course, because of all the animals that climbed in, she sees that one mitten is much larger and much more stretched than the other one. And I just think that this is such a cute winter theme. I think it's an adorable story. So the other book that I like is called The Bear Snores On. And this is by Karma Wilson and Jane Chapman. This is a hibernation story. So the bear is hibernating. He's in a cave. You have a little animal that is cold, so he comes into the cave. He lights a fire, and then more and more animals come in and throw a party in the bear's lair with him not even knowing. The bear snores on. The bear snores on. At the end, the bear wakes up and he feels completely left out because they've been partying without him. They of course say, "Hey, of course you can join in." Then at the end, all the animals are fast asleep and now the bear can't sleep. I fell in love with this one because of the illustrations. I mean, isn't that beautiful? That is just absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous illustrations. And this is the first animal, the mouse that comes in that needs to warm up. The illustrations are absolutely gorgeous to me, and it's such a cute story. And you see more and more animals coming in from the cold. And obviously it says the bear snores on. I'm a sucker for illustrations, okay? That's just one of my things. How could you not love this? And there's, so you see all these animals, a bird, hedgehog, all these animals come in, they're partying, and the bear never woke up. And this is the point where I believe some pepper gets in the bear's nose, and then he wakes up. So adorable. It's so cute. The animals are like, "Of course you can join in." It's my favorite part After the entire story where it says the bear snores on, the bear snores on while the animals are partying, at the end it says the bear can't sleep, but his friends snore on. And this is adorable. Like I said, there are tons of amazing children's books that take place in the winter. When I was roaming around, I just picked the ones that I know that I liked a lot. And I read this one last year, and this was probably very easily my favorite children's book of all the children's books I read last year. This one is called The Only Child. I hate mispronouncing names. I'm thinking it's Jiu Jing. It's a Chinese author, and this is her debut book. I want to give you the background that the author gave. It says here that because of China's birth control policy, Zhao Jing is an only child, and she has drawn on her childhood memories of loneliness and isolation while developing this. So it sounds like a sad book, and you do get a sense of the loneliness, but it all works out and it's all happy, and the illustrations are so beautiful. There's an introduction by the author where she talks about one time when she was young, her father put her on a bus to see her grandmother, but she fell asleep, and when she woke up, nobody was on the bus, and she was extremely scared, and she was roaming around, but finally she followed the electric lines of the bus apparently and was able to find her grandmother's house 3 hours later. That's also one of the inspirations. So the child in this book decides she wants to see her grandmother, and she ends up falling asleep in the bus, waking up, and she stumbles onto the woods and finds this stag. The stag ends up helping her reunite with her family after she got lost. The illustrations of this book, so stunning. I forgot to mention, this book is wordless. There are no words, it's just illustrations. These are just absolutely stunning. I'm just gonna show you a couple of the illustrations. This is around the part where she has gotten lost in the woods. This might be my favorite picture in the entire, just look at that. I mean, just look at the face of the stag, the face of the only child. It's just amazing how much you can capture in a drawing, and in a black and white or black and gray drawing at that. It's just absolutely beautiful. They went on this weird adventure. There's this part where they were climbing up. It seemed like they were climbing up through some clouds, and they met this little cloud family. I don't know how else to explain it. You might if you ever look at this book, you might interpret it differently, but I just saw it as like a little cloud mom and baby. And look at that. Look at the little tails. Just the detail. I mean, it's gorgeous. I'm getting all giddy. Just, this book is so beautiful. I actually want to get a copy. Like, this is the kind of book that I look through and I say, I want to keep this book. You know, sometimes you might purchase a book and you end up giving it away or something, but there's some books that you know you want to keep. And this is one book that I would love to have. The child falls asleep at one point, and it seems like from the pictures the stag was trying to find her home. So the stag disappeared for a few minutes looking over, and there was a point where the only child got scared because the stag disappeared. But of course the stag comes back. So, goodness. I was just so taken by this book. Like I said, it does work out in the end because the stag helps the only child find her home. And this is when they have to say goodbye. Look at this. It's so cute. This is the end where they're reading a story and she has a stag in her hand and she falls asleep. And I was just like, I want this book so much. This is obviously a library book, but I love this book. I fell in love with this book. The illustrations are so beautiful. Specifically, these two books were books I came across last winter. This was a book that I had saw the children's librarian read to the children during story time, and I fell in love with it. And I just thought it was such a cute book. And this was a book that I personally had read last winter to the children during story time on one of the days the children's librarian wasn't available. I thought it was such a cute book. This was a book that was simply a new book at the time. It was last year, and I just was intrigued by the illustrations. This is just 3 books that have winter themes that I wanted to talk about. So I've gone through so many children's books in the past year that there's no way I can come up with them off of the top of my head. I would actually have to find them in the shelves. So I do plan to talk about some more children's books. If not more winter themed, more than likely I have a couple books in my head that I want to talk about, just about library and book themes. So that's it. If you like children's books, I would recommend these 3. These are 3 of my favorite out of the 1,000 probably literally children's books I've been through in the past year. Now, I might do my reading resolution. I might not. I feel it's kind of boring. Until next time, thank you for sitting with me, and happy reading. Bye.